Linda. Awesome. All right. Well, we're so glad to see you guys. We're going to focus tonight on rebooting our filtering organs. My name's Dr. Crystal Nick Staten. I'm a chiropractor and certified acupuncturist. My husband, Dr. Joel, here, we practice together as chiropractors. And so I loved this picture. Have you ever felt this way where you're like, I just want to reset the world and push that button to make it all go back or change or something? And so in relationship to our filtering organs, I felt like that really applied because we have a few things that we are just being exposed to, whether we know it or not. So we're first going to go over our filtering organs, just the basics, and then where, what, and when we're being exposed to different things that are not good for our bodies, the effects of toxic burden, and then how to eliminate ourselves from being exposed to what's not working for us. So we'll go ahead and dive on in there. So first off, our filtering organs. Okay, the first one of the different organs that we'll cover is the liver. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the liver. It covers about 500 different functions in the body. So it is just doing a ton all the time to try and take care of many of our metabolic needs. So what it's doing is synthesizing lipids. So that's helping in cholesterol production, as well as the creating phospholipids. So those are used for all of our different cell membranes. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we're all muted. So here we go. Okay, let's just make sure. Okay, great. And that way we don't have like feedback and stuff going on in the background. So next is metabolizing hormones. So because cholesterol is actually our base for all of our different hormones, it would make sense that our hormones are going to be affected by our health of our liver. So it also is really great at helping to detoxify harmful substances, whether it's something that, like alcohol or, drugs and things like that, or if it's just different things we're being exposed to toxic wise. So in Chinese medicine, the liver is associated with it's the peak time frames that it's active in terms of the liver meridians is 1 to 3 a.m. So if we're finding that we're waking up in that 1 to 3 a.m. time frame, it might be our liver knocking and saying, "Hey, help me." So that's part of it is just sometimes it's our liver itself being just overworked, and so it can affect our wake sleep cycle, as well as in Chinese medicine, the emotions associated with it are anger or irritability. So if we're dealing with anger and irritability, again, that can also influence our liver, or vice versa. If we're feeling kind of stuck and not able to metabolize very well, then we might find ourselves more irritable. So those are some different symptoms that you might recognize with the liver. Now for the kidneys. So these are our filtering, specifically for fluids, our filtering organs for fluids. So any sort of waste in the blood, as well as just pulling out waste through and urinating it out. So it also does, therefore, help with our blood pressure, blood volume, and it helps in terms of our ions in balancing them out. So this is things like calcium, potassium, sodium, and keeping our pH all balanced out. Again, back to Chinese medicine, the time frames for kidneys when they're most active are more in the later afternoon, evening. And the emotion associated with the kidneys is the feeling of fear. So if we start to feel kind of like just this excessive maybe doom or worry, it can be affecting our kidneys, and therefore that can also wake us up through the night where we have to go to the bathroom more often, or vice versa. If we are feeling very worried, it can tax our kidneys. So they all kind of work hand in hand. Emotions can affect the organs, and then organs can affect the emotions. So the last one that I wanted to cover, you might not think of it as an organ, but it's our biggest organ. It's our skin. So some of the functions that it plays, of course, is a protective barrier. So it keeps out pathogens from us, as well as any ultraviolet radiation, and it helps prevent excess water loss. So it helps as that barrier. It also helps with our temperature regulation. So if we're feeling really hot, we're going to start to sweat. And if we're feeling really cold, we're going to have, goosebumps to try and help close the pores and keep our warmth inside. It does help with sensory. So if we start to notice just changes in, again, temperature or like if a bug lands on us, it helps us to recognize how can I maybe defend myself. Last thing that it tends to do as well is both the excreting and absorbing, right? When we're sweating, this is helping pull out some of the toxins inside of us, especially urea, as well as just some of the metals that kind of get stuck in there as well, heavy metals, as well as it helps with absorbing. So things like vitamin D, we know that, but we're going to go over a few other things that it starts to absorb as well. So when and what are we exposed to? Let's go ahead. We're going to break this down based off of each time of the day. So first off here is in the morning. We have our morning routine, which is great. And we're just, going, brushing our teeth. And oh man, first thing we do is starting to expose ourselves to some toxins. We have fluoride oftentimes. If you don't have fluoride, that's great. There can sometimes be other chemicals too. But fluoride in particular is one that can be a neurotoxin, as well as it's associated with decreased IQ. So the more that we use fluoride, it tends to have an effect on our IQ. So deodorant, we're, trying to get freshened up, ready for the day. If we have a deodorant that has antiperspirant, it will have aluminum there. What that's doing is it's helping to try to clog the pores so we're not sweating, but that's a normal response of our body. It should be sweating. And if it's clogged, now we're dealing with lymphatic drainage issues for one, but the aluminum it's a heavy metal that starts to build up and it's carcinogenic, so cancer causing. We don't want that. And then there's also a chemical called triclosan, and that is sometimes present in toothpaste.
Let this cool a little bit.
Very
It's still
often
hot. I'm gonna feed it to you, but
deodorant.
it's still hot.
I'm just going to go ahead and mute, and we'll just make sure we're all, yep, that way we don't have any extra sound, so it's nice and clear. All right, so next off is skincare. So, again, we're getting ready, maybe putting on makeup or just putting on sunscreen or lotion. A lot of the different skincare products that we use have formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is it's one that can irritate our respiratory system, and it is also carcinogenic. So we don't want that. There, we can be able to have healthier alternatives. So next time of the day that I wanted to focus on were meal times. So if we're eating foods that are not fresh, we might be exposing ourselves to trans fats. What this is trans fats are basically chemically mutated in order to maintain the shelf life of the food. So when they do that, it's to make sure that it can stay and last longer. But what does that mean in terms of its ability to be broken down? It can stay on the shelf longer and it can stay in us longer. It's harder for our bodies to break it down. It also is something where when our body finally does break it down, now the body's using those chemicals to help build up things like our phospholipid membrane for our cells. And now we're having, fats that are not helpful for us in our cellular hardware. Another one is if we have any sort of produce, if it has a nice strong peel, you can do commercial. That's totally fine. You don't have to have organic. But if it's like, a nice lettuce salad or berries on the side, we do want to make sure that those are organic because we don't want to have the exposure to pesticides. Why don't the pests, the different insects want those fruits and vegetables that they would love to eat? It's because it's a neurotoxin to them and a neurotoxin to us. So things such as Parkinson's and ADHD are shown to have a correlation with exposure to pesticides. Next is our water. We do want to be hydrated, right? Like these are good habits. If it's not filtered and if it's in a plastic bottle, we have more exposures. But if it is filtered, then we tend to be doing better. Some things that we can be exposed to if it's just regular tap water, then that would be things like phthalates, and this is a hormone disruptor. So that is not helpful for our hormone production. And then PFASs, and this is one that is also a hormone disruptor and carcinogenic. So last is air fresheners. If we're just out and about at the office, oftentimes they're air fresheners, or if we're at a restaurant and we have, we just go to the restroom real quick, there tend to be air fresheners. Those air fresheners have VOCs. That stands for volatile organic compounds. And what those are is they help the aroma to be strong, but they don't help our respiratory system at all. Even our eyes can be irritated, our nose, our lungs, our throat. They can be irritants, and again, neurotoxins and carcinogenic. It's just all over with the carcinogens. Okay, the last one is our exposure when we're just, winding down at the end of the day. So let's say we're just kind of cleaning off the tables, or we're washing the dishes, or, we're lying down, we're getting our linens on us, and we are exposed to the different cleaners. So like our laundry detergent or dish detergent, these all tend to have what's called 1,4-dioxane. And this is also highly toxic and associated again with cancer causing issues. So we want to have more natural cleaners in our mix. Another one that sometimes this might not apply to you is late night eating. If we do participate in that, then it does tend to disrupt our parasympathetic nervous system. That's our nervous system that deals with more rest and digest. So as opposed to our sympathetic, that's more like fight or flight, it will put us more in that fight or flight state because we're trying to digest when we're also sleeping, when our bodies are used to usually having that be, okay, I've eaten, now I'm going to go use that energy and expend it. So it can rev us up and wake us up in the middle of the night, or it can just start to make it where, all right, we're not using that fuel, and so now it has to store it, and so that turns into excess, adipose tissue or fat that we're carrying around. So, okay, let's just talk about what that looks like in terms of the toxic burden on our bodies after we've had some of these exposures. So in terms of our liver and our filtering organs, it says here that research is showing us that 35% of American adults are having more stressed out livers, where it's just overloaded. When we see toxin overload, these are some of the different symptoms that will start to show up more often. Fatigue, brain fog, hormonal imbalances, gut issues, and then even signs of premature aging. What that does in terms of the liver's effectiveness is it starts to only be able to work at half of its capacity because it's just trying to flush all of this burden that is taking a toll on it. Finally, in terms of digestive and detoxifying enzymes, those also are limited. They start to decrease in their ability to be produced because we're dealing with this burden. So where does this leave us? It leaves us very busy. Our bodies are very busy, but if we go back to what we learned at the very beginning about our liver, our kidneys, and our skin, we are designed in a way where we can be able to filter. And so our bodies are not broken. They are busy. And so we want to be able to do our part to help them to work effectively. So let's go ahead and talk about ways that can help your body to be able to work properly again, your organs to be able to work optimally again. First off is just eliminating that external exposure. All of the things we just talked about were all external, and we can have a say on most of those. Every now and then, if we're in an environment that's, not our own home, then it's harder. But at least in our own homes, we can ditch the things that are not working for us, that are carcinogenic. So things like the cleaners or the air fresheners. I'd rather us have a neutral smelling home or deal with, a couple bathroom smells for, like 10 minutes than having exposure to carcinogens, right? Um, and we can switch. We can be able to have natural, safe options. So let's go into just a couple. Um, so I just wanted to share two. doTERRA in particular is a company that we have found that we have seen their effectiveness and their safety in their products. So I just wanted to share these two oils in particular, but they do have things like toothpaste and cleaners and hair care stuff. But these two are going to help with our detoxifying as well. So castor oil, we're going to dive into a little bit more in a bit, but I've got it here. It's great for any sort of skin care. So if we're wanting to have more like a natural lotion, you can just apply that on the areas that are dry. Anti-aging, I find that it's one of my favorite of any of the different lotions and things to apply on my face, where I feel like, oh, I moisturize, but I look a little less sprinkled on my forehead. So, um, even next is for home care. So lemon oil is amazing in terms of being able to use just in a cleaner. And if you've got any sort of sticky residue that you're trying to clean off, if you just have that lemon, you could use it directly or have it in a more diluted form. And you spray it and it just wipes it right off. If you ever get like a book and it has a sticker on the back and you try to pull the sticker off and man, that sticker just left a big old residue there. If you put a lemon drop on it, it just wipes away. So the same thing that it does externally on as a cleaner, it actually does for our liver too. So it helps with all of that sludge of these hormone disruptors, these toxins, and it helps that to be able to cleanse. We've actually seen that many of our patients, they'll put a drop. I actually have some in my water right now, in their water, and it needs to be a glass cup. They'll do that 3 times a day, and we've seen them drop in blood pressure, drop in cholesterol levels. So not only is it a home care, it's a internal care. We're gonna go ahead and dive into that side next. So eliminating internal buildup, so that those toxins inside of us and the burden that it's placing on our organs. So let's talk about a few ways that we might be able to see it might be time to do something more targeted for our filtering organs. So if any of these check off for you, then that might be something where you're like, okay, let me uh, target these organs. So feeling run down, bloated, or having any sort of digestive issues, that's showing that the colon, so the large intestines, is also a filtering organ, and it's just not working optimally. And oftentimes that starts higher up with the liver not working optimally. That next is if we're dealing with hormonal imbalances, either the menopausal season or even more of the more fertile, like the PMS season, or testosterone levels. If we're noticing these imbalances, those again trace back to the liver as first stop. Excess weight or fatigue, these are again signs of the liver needing some support. If we're seeing things like blood pressure levels or cholesterol levels being more elevated, this can be especially liver again, but even the kidneys, because remember, the kidneys are involved too with blood pressure. Last here is skin. So if we're starting to see our skin having more acne or eczema, that's our sign saying, hey, I'm trying to get out something that's in me that's not working well for me. If we're seeing disrupted sleep or excess urination, this is also where maybe the kidneys are involved. So let's go ahead and talk about some things that you can do at home tonight, even to be able to help with your start to rebooting your filtering organs. So first off is hydration. But remember, we want it to be filtered water, and a Brita water filter is actually not enough in terms of really filtering out those chemicals we'd mentioned. We tend to really like Berkey filters, or Water Drop is a more affordable option of the Berkey filter, or reverse osmosis systems. Those are really great. Next is movement. When we're active, when we're, using our body, that's helping us, one, to sweat, right? We want to release in whichever form as possible, as well as it's helping our lymph to be able to be more active and our digestive system to be more active to eliminate. So next one here is lemon oil. We had talked about that before. When we apply that in our water, and not all oils are the same. Let me just take a moment to say that. If you're going to take any oils internally, they must be certified pure, tested grade. And honestly, since we talked about how much it affects, like how much things in the air or even on our skin affects us, we really want only the purest essential oils. And so we have found that if they are certified pure tested grade, which we're not finding anywhere other than doTERRA's, then we can use them safely in all of those ways, aromatic, topical, and internal. So when you internalize the lemon oil, that's coming from the rind of the lemon, and that helps support your enzyme production. So that, what has been decreasing from all of the toxicity starts to improve naturally. If we reduce our stress, this also helps us move back into that parasympathetic state where we can rest and digest better. So that will also help our normal systems, our organs, to do what they should do better. Okay, so how do we start to fill in the gaps? First, we need to create a strong foundation. So these are what we have found for ourselves and our patients to be the best foundation that we have been able to lay. So the first off is VMG. That stands for vitamins, minerals, and greens. So some of the vitamins there are it's more than a multivitamin, because it also has what are called methylated B vitamins. When they're methylated, that makes it easier for our liver to be able to utilize them, and therefore we can have more energy. Zinc and those methylated B vitamins are critical for our liver to go through all the phases of detox. The greens in it, the cruciferous vegetables present in it, that also helps with our detoxification pathways to support our hormone production. So we have found for ourselves and many of our patients as well that that has filled such a great gap. The E-omega next, this shows, this is actually the omega complex, so it has the right balance and ratio of omega-3s and omega-6s, as well as it has wild orange essential oil present in it. So it's also helping our cells because of that phospholipid bilayer. So it's helping every cell of the body, but it's helping our hormone production, our nervous system, which is again taxed with these toxins. Last but not least is the probiotic. So it's called PB Restore. And why we love this so much is because it's more than a probiotic. We appreciate that it has such variety of strains of probiotics, but it also has the prebiotics, postbiotics, and bacteriophages present too. That's huge because not only do we have the right type of bacteria proliferating, we kill off the bad bacteria like E. coli and Candida, which can really also create disruption to our bodies. So beyond meeting that foundation, we do have times when we need to detoxify. So doTERRA has recently released this new essential oil combination. It's here. It's called Revitazen, and it has these oils present in it. So here, the first set the tangerine and rosemary, this is really helping our liver to activate those enzymes. When the enzymes are working properly, we can metabolize properly. So again, we're not broken, we're just busy. And when we can be able to reactivate the proper function of the liver, it knows what to do. So the next one here, ginger and cilantro, this is helping especially with cleansing and more so for the colon. Um, but the other thing is too, cilantro is really great at pulling out any heavy metals, which we only went over one of them, but there are several others that can enter into our bodies. So we want to draw that out as well. The last set here, juniper and geranium, these are really great for our kidneys, also for the hormones too. For several years now, we have used juniper berry with our patients whenever we notice kidney bladder issues, things like UTIs showing up or disrupted sleep because of getting up through the night to have to go to the bathroom. So that we have seen over and over, time and again, the kidneys improving with the juniper berry there. All right, so that is one of the oils used specifically to help those filtering organs. So what they did, doTERRA, they blended the oils, so this oil along with different herbs, which are showing up right here, in a capsule in order to make detoxification very gentle. I don't know if any of you guys have ever done a detox before, but sometimes it can be pretty harsh and pretty fast and furious. Uh, I appreciate that doTERRA has made it where they incorporate the milk thistle, for example, to make it more of a gentle way of helping the liver to release while doing and performing its normal everyday functions at its normal levels again. Another one that they included in terms of botanicals is artichoke. Artichoke helps our gallbladder. So our liver and gallbladder work side by side, hand in hand. And this helps with boosting bile production and therefore fat digestion to help release it from our bodies. So we want to be able to have both the liver and gallbladder supported. Now, they also do have black cumin and cumin as essential oils present too. So the black cumin in particular is helping with our inflammation and our immune system to be supported. And the cumin is helping for our guts or our large intestines to work properly and our lipids to be uptaken and distributed properly throughout our body. So this here just shows us that not only does it do what it says here, but all the things that the oil has, because that's in with the this capsule here. So let's actually we're going to go into one more thing here is the castor oil that we had mentioned. If you guys have heard about castor oil, it's becoming more popular these days. There are many different uses. So, like I said, one is beauty and skincare, anti-aging that you can do topically. You can also use it on your joints. If you're dealing with any pain and inflammation, it's a very gentle way of being able to help restore some circulation in that area while also draining. That's like what we're seeing in the second point, draining some of the excess buildup. So lymphatic drainage, it's great at helping and supporting, but also if you use it on targeted organs. So what you can do is if you have a cloth, you can use your castor oil and you can just do, it's about a tablespoon, I'm sorry, 2 teaspoons of the castor oil on your cloth. And then you just have it on your targeted organ. So let's say if it's the liver or if you want it on the kidneys, that would be on the back. It is good to have a little strap to keep it held there, unless you're just going to lie down and stay in that position for about half an hour. And what you would do is you can also add in that Revitazen oil with the castor oil so it can provide that targeted support for those organs. So like I said, I've been using the castor oil on my skin for a while, but I hadn't done the castor oil pack. I did that last night and I was just like, let's see how I feel with it on my liver. I didn't notice anything in the moment for my liver, but that night I'd actually been dealing with a cough for the past month. and it would wake me up through the night every now and then. And I was so thankful and amazed. I woke up this morning, I'm like, I did not cough once through the night where it woke me up. I was so grateful because, again, it's helping with draining some of that mucus buildup for me in my lungs. And even though it was on my liver, it just was helping with, because of the oil, the Revitazine oil and the castor oil. So, yes, that is something else to also bring into the mix. And one other note that I did want to say is, again, not all oils are the same. So castor oil, specifically from doTERRA, it's beyond organic. It is harvested at its peak season, and it is, again, with it being organic, it's also cold pressed. So it maintains the hexane that is needed in order to be anti-inflammatory. So now, knowing that there are some options to support you for detoxifying, what you can ask yourself is, what kind of approach works best for you? So there's a daily detox. You can be able to just do, a couple drops of the Revitazine oil that could be in your water just to help cleanse. Or you can do a capsule of the Revitazine detoxification complex, the capsules. You can do that once a day, along with that foundation of the vitamins and the omegas and probiotic. If that's something where you're like, I really want to be able to keep my defenses and my resilience up, then you're totally able to, because again, it's all very gentle. If you're like, no, I think every quarter would be a good amount of time where I can just do a really targeted focus of a cleanse, then that's a great way to approach it. Just, for a month long, 4 times a year, that's a wonderful way to reset. Another way is if you're like, I just need a whole reboot. I just need to press that reset button. And that's where it could be more targeted 90-day reboot, where it's, okay, the first 30 days, we're focusing on nourishing and drawing out gently. And then the second 30 days, that's where we're really focused on, okay, now we're just going to kill off all that bad bacteria with even more resources and just fully detoxify. And then on that third month, it could be fully replenishing. So those are different options. We are here to support. If you have questions on that, we're happy to help. But when we do detox, it does make a difference. You start to feel like, oh, my brain fog has lifted. You can think more clearly. You can feel like you have more energy, less of that heavy, burdened feeling. Digestion starts to work so much better. Our skin, all of those blemishes start to clear up if there's that eczema or the acne. And then emotionally, we can feel lighter too. I've also seen, when we've done detoxes with our patients and with our community here, many people have mentioned their inflammation and their pain diminishing significantly. So if you're wanting to be able to go ahead and get started with reset, then again, this is the QR actually that gives you access to all of the products that we talked about. So there's that foundational wellness of just the vitamins, and then there's the detoxification one, and then the home and body care. So that's the QR there. And just know, again, we're by your side. So whatever of the detoxification options that you're feeling more drawn to, we're here to be by your side. So these are a couple different resources we wanted to make sure you guys had access to. So these QRs show you, the first one, it's the Essential Oils and Personal Care ebook. And then the second one is the castor oil ebook. So if you're like, I want to know a little bit more on the ins and outs of castor oil and how to use it for, if it's more skin related or hormone related or detoxification related, or, there are a variety of different recipes that they have in that castor oil book. So please help yourselves to those. And again, if your next step is really how to begin. So if you feel unsure where to start, you can start with that foundational wellness and daily detox. Just a capsule a day to help really boost those filtering organs. If you're like, man, I just need to refresh after all these years of being exposed, then you can be able to do the 90 days, which starts off in the same way as the first step there. And then you don't have to guess. You can just go ahead and get started. So that QR there shows you, again, those links to the products that we had talked about if you weren't able to get that earlier. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and stop the share, and there we go. And we'll stop the recording.